Okay, so we all know that in order for us to manifest our dream life, we just simply need to shift our identity and become that girl, right? But the issue is not that we don't know what to do. It's the fact that we keep forgetting. We keep forgetting that we are that girl. Once upon a time, you had this huge realization that you can just simply choose who you want to become. You feel so aligned, you're so ready to move on with life, and everything is just high vibrational, right? But we all know that it's not as easy as that. It's not as smooth as that. We can't deny that life happens. And little do we know, we're back to our old self. All you can say at that moment is pause. How did I get there again? And I think this is one of the biggest issue with manifestation and identity work. It's not that we don't know what to do, because we've heard it a million times. We need to be in order to have. You need to act as if. You have to shift your identity and align with your higher self. But the hardest part is not actually doing it. It's actually staying and maintaining in that new identity. And that's where everyone gets stuck. And I'm saying this because that's what I felt, and I know for a lot of people, we're gonna feel like a failure when we got back to our old self, especially in the beginning phase of learning how to create your own dream reality, right? But you have to remember that it is completely normal to fall back into your old self, because we basically have lived in our old frequency for years, for basically almost your whole entire life. And we've only been trying to be this new version for like a few weeks, maybe months, maybe a few years. So obviously the old version is gonna keep pulling us back, knowing that you probably still have the same question, but how do I actually maintain that new version of me? I want to always resemble my higher self. I want to be in that new reality. Well, lucky for you, in this video, I want to break down exactly why it's so hard to stay in your new identity and why it is actually normal. Secondly, what it actually means to shift your identity, because let's be real, I don't think most of us really gets it. And thirdly, how to make it stick in your brain so you stop forgetting and slipping back to your old self. And don't worry, I'm gonna explain the logical side of this too, because I know that my brain needs to understand the why before it actually believes something. It's just how my brain works, and I know that that's also probably the case for some of you. So firstly, as I've mentioned before, we've lived in our old frequency longer than we have been in this new higher self, right? So obviously our brain wants to default to what's familiar, which is the old stories that you've told yourself, all of the limiting beliefs, and not just limiting beliefs, but just basically all of the beliefs that you have held for as long as you can remember. It is an accumulation of how you were brought, whether that be your beliefs about money, your beliefs about abundance, about relationships, about freedom. All of that is accumulated in your brain. And so it's not a sign of failure that you refer back to your old self. It's just how the brain works. The brain loves familiarity. But that doesn't mean that it's not possible for us to shift into our new identity. It means that we have learned something really important. So it's not that we don't know what to do. We know that we need to shift into that higher version of ourselves, right? But it's the fact that we keep forgetting that makes it harder. Now, let me tell you this. The reality that we live in right now, the 3D reality, is louder than your new identity, right? Because that is the evidence that we've seen from when we were born. We're taught to see the reality that is in front of us right now, that is tangible, that is physical. But did you know that we can actually only see 0.00000, I don't know how many zeros, 3% of the actual reality that we live in right now? So that 0.003% of reality screams at us all day, and you're telling me that there's another 99.9 something percent of reality that we didn't even touch on at all? Does it make sense? No, the rest of that 99.9 something percent is inside our mind and vibrationally. In reality, if we see that we don't have money yet, it means that we're not successful yet. It means that we're experiencing all of these things that we're experiencing right now. Loneliness, lack of security, lack of self-confidence, and we're very easily caught up in what we can see. So if you've been feeling like you're constantly forgetting and having to remind yourself over and over again, you're not alone, because this is literally the hardest part. But here's what changed everything for me, which is understanding what identity shifting actually means. Now that we know that this 3D reality is basically only a fraction of what we can see, I'll come to the second point, which is the fact that there are unlimited realities already existing, just not visible in the human eyes. Now, let me paint you this picture. When I say there are unlimited realities already existing, think of it literally like the fictional parallel universe where there are multi-version of realities happening at this exact same moment. Just think about Spider-Man. And when we think about parallel universe, we kind of see it as like there are multiple of laneways in this world, and whichever decision that you take will bring you to another lane, and then depending on another decision that you make, it will then branch out again to another lane, and that continues on for basically forever, right? But to make it even easier for you to comprehend it in your mind, think of all of the realities as just one, possibilities. So the fact that you can dream means that the realities are already existing somewhere in this world. That's how parallel universe work. So if you can see the higher version of yourself, then that higher version of yourself is already there somewhere. Now, the fun part about this fact is that because there are a lot of realities, we just need to decide and choose which reality to jump to, like choosing a character in a video game. Just as simple as that. And by the way, this information changed my view of identity creation, because all this time I've heard about being instead of wanting or having, but what does that be actually mean? Like, do I have to dress up like my higher self? Do I have to think like a successful person? There's just a lot of possibilities out there. But when we narrow it down like this, simply just you choosing a character in a video game, that simplifies everything, and our mind likes simple stuff. So it's easier to comprehend. Now with a game, for example, when choosing a character, there are a couple of options. And the difference between a video game and our life is that with our life, we can choose any character that we want. Literally anything. There's no boundaries, there's no limitations to what you want to be, what you can become. That's why I said this is the fun part, because you literally can become anything. And once you've decided that you want to become this version of yourself, you just need to jump in that reality by being that person. So you don't become that person while you're playing someone else's game. Literally, it's just jumping into the reality that you want to be. So if you have a certain notion of what it means to become successful, for example, or what it means to become your higher self, get rid of that limitation. And again, remind yourself that there are literally infinity of reality that you can choose on. And whatever it is that you choose, as long as you align with that path and you jump to that path, you can become anyone. You can become anything in that chosen reality. Once we know that, okay, it is pretty simple, right? We just need to jump into the reality that we want to be in. But for a lot of people, we think that shifting identity means that we have to act differently or do different things. But again, as I've mentioned before, because we're jumping into reality, we want to become aligned with that reality. And there is a huge difference between these two things. The biggest misconception is that once people think that, oh, okay, I'm gonna jump into this reality, I'm gonna think of what this person will actually do on a day-to-day basis, because that literally means that, I'm becoming that person, right? Little do we know, it's actually backwards. So this is where a lot of people get mistaken. What do you think of action? Like, where is action in this timeline? When you're living a life, action is not the first thing that you do. It comes from your mind first. It comes from making a decision first, and then action will follow, right? So that is exactly the step-by-step process in materializing your dream reality. Action is basically the last step. If you're thinking about jumping into your new reality by taking a certain action, you're doing it in the wrong way. Again, action is what happens after you've shifted your being. I'm gonna tell you about my mistake. I'm gonna use my story as an example to explain this a little bit better, for what it means to being first before doing. If you've watched my previous video, you know that I took a break from my business because I was manifesting from misalignments. I only manifested the goals, the achievement, and I didn't really manifest the person that I want to become. I did manifest the achievements, but I was the most miserable I've ever been. And so because of that, I took a step back from my business and just try to make sense of who I want to become. Now, at that point on, I still haven't really understood what it means to be first before taking action. So logically, I think, okay, then what is the best business path I should choose? Then I know who I want to become. I want to become successful. So what action should I take in order for me to get there, right? Now, again, when we think of parallel universe, as I've mentioned before, there are infinite amount of realities. So there is an infinite amount of decision for me to choose. I have decision paralysis because I don't know what action should I take in order for me to get there. And the reality is, any decision that I choose will lead me to that one path, as long as I am already in that state of becoming my higher self. But for me at that time, I felt really lost, because genuinely I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I know that most of you have probably had that feeling once in your lifetime, like you're just lost. You don't know where to go. You don't know what you need to do with your life. You don't have any purpose, right? And that's a mistake that we make, because we came from a place of action first. Even if we know that, oh, I want to become this person who is full of confidence. I want to become the person who is filled with peace of mind, right? But then I started thinking about action, like what should I do in order for me to get there? Whereas the truth is, any reality that you choose will get you there, as long as you know who you want to become. As long as you align with that higher frequency of yourself, you can go down that path. If you believe that you can be a world-class chef, you can choose that path. You can become the main character of that game and become successful in that path, as long as you have conviction in it. Trying to think too hard on which path to choose means that you're still in alignment with your old self, because you haven't trusted yourself enough where you can jump to any reality that you choose to be. And that is also the mistake that we don't really necessarily realize. If we take action first, it means that we're not trusting our mind and the universe to do its work. We're not trusting ourselves enough where we're actually already that person. And again, if you want to shift your identity, shifting your identity means that you are already becoming that person. You are that person, right? And if you think about, oh, okay, then what's the next action step? Your action is not gonna be from alignment, but it's gonna be from force, and that creates lack of trust, which is the enemy of manifesting your dream life. How are you going to trust that you are already in that dream reality when you can't even trust yourself? Now, then you might be thinking, then should I just do nothing? Like, what should I do then? Like, do I just sit in silence and wait for things to happen? Yes and no. Yes, meaning that it is important for you to take a step back, have that moment of silence, just trust in the universe. But eventually, when you trust in the universe, you will have that mental nudge. And because you have aligned with your new identity, the action will feel obvious. If you've aligned yourself with having many clients and then a client emails you, obviously your action step is to reply. If you've aligned with your ideal health, you will feel the urge to drink more water and to ditch the soft drinks. That's going to be your obvious action. See what I'm trying to say there? It's not that you're forcing it, but you're following the action that feels aligned. Now again, another example. A misaligned action is going to be going to the gym because you hate your body. And that just simply means that you're acting from lack. Whereas when you're acting from alignment, you're going to the gym because you enjoy it. And you know that you're that person. It is acting from being first. You know that you are already that person, so you're just acting upon it. Again, it's not act as if because you feel like that's what you should do. But the action should just feel natural, and sometimes it just comes as a nudge, as a hunch. Like, oh, I want to do this thing. Oh, because of that, I will do this thing. And let the universe do the rest. That is why the quote, let go, exists. You just need to trust yourself deeply enough with the universe so that the universe will do most of the heavy work for you. You just need to finish off the rest. It's the fact that also you don't want to control how your dream reality will play out too much, because otherwise that will mess up with the universe trying to get you to where you want to be. And again, that's why you don't want to think of action like what action should I do, because that means that you're only limiting yourself to that action. Like you're only telling the universe, okay, so I want to get this X amount of money from my business. Whereas in reality, you could win the lottery, or someone in your family might donate you money. Like there's an infinite amount of ways that you can get to your dream reality. But when you focus on action too much and you think, oh yeah, because I want to become that person, I need to take this action, then you're limiting how your dream reality will manifest. And that's also a lot of mistakes that people make. Now, going back to my first point, which is the fact that our brain will trust what's familiar. A tip to help you become more familiar with your higher self is actually physicalizing your dream reality. Probably you've heard this tip somewhere, but it does really work because again, your brain doesn't really know what is a reality and what is imagination. It's just whatever feel the realist, that's what your brain can trust. So if you go to places that your dream self would go to, you handle objects your dream self would handle, you dress how your dream self would dress, you familiarize yourself more with that new reality, and that translates to you already believing and trusting yourself enough that you're already in that state. It's basically teaching your nervous system what reality feels like. Feeling emotions is the most important driving factor in manifesting your dream life. It's not just about the actions, it's not just about you visualizing for the sake of visualizing, but also feeling it, feeling all of the emotions that you want to feel. So that's basically the difference. You're not trying to act your way into a new identity, but you shift your identity first. You choose the reality, which means that you become that person, and then the action just happens naturally without force. So basically, you just live your day as if you're already that person. Again, not taking actions from misalignments, but because now that you know, okay, I am this person, I am the person who's making 50K per month and that has retired my family. What do you think that person is going to feel like on a day-to-day basis? Where do you think that person is going to go to or experience on a day-to-day basis? Because here's also what changed my perspective on living life. I saw a YouTube video recently about how the fact that we've reached our goals, we reached our achievement, but that then just become a memory and we'll just move on to the next milestone. That literally translates to how achievements are actually not that big of a deal. It's not that you want to chase the end state or that dream reality, but you want to start living it now, because what's the fun of living your life miserably for the majority of your life and then getting that goal just to experience that joy, that peace, that freedom for a split second? It doesn't make sense. If we take it back to the simplest form of living life and reality creation, basically what you want to do is just living life like it's a video game and have fun with it. And by fun, meaning that whatever you want to feel after you've gained your dream reality, just feel it now. We don't have that much time anyway in this world. So why not just relive all of that joy, relive all of the emotions that you want to feel right now, instead of waiting for the reality to happen? That is basically the simplest this could ever get. Now, despite all of those facts, there's still one more question left. How do we actually make this stick? How do we stop forgetting? Because again, we're just humans. We're going to slip back to our old identity at some point. But it's how you deal with that that makes a huge difference. So firstly, now that you've understood the logic behind how your brain accepts things better when it understands the why, and that now you know unlimited realities exist, you just have to jump on one, choose one, and live on as if you're already that person. Now you also know that being comes before doing. It's basically all of this fact that makes it sticks in your brain. You just gotta remind yourself frequently every time you fall back. You can watch this video again, or literally right now take notes of what I said in this video, and once you feel like you're back to your old self, read your notes again and remind yourself that you're already that person. You want to live in the now? Live as if you're already that girl. You can also do daily identity check-ins. Again, not goal check-ins, but you want to ask yourself, who was I being today? Was I the version of me, or was I the version of my old self? The more that you become aware with your identity, it's like the more that you can see when you're jumping back to your old identity and when you're jumping to your new identity. And because of that awareness, basically you now are aware of these two versions of yourself. And the beauty of this is that you can now choose who you want to become. You can switch roles. It's like within a game, you can become role A or B. You can alternate between the two, and that's exactly what you can do also with your identity. You can switch on to become old self and new self. And how this helps you in becoming the new self is because it's easy for you to switch between the two, it's also going to be easier for you to switch into the new identity because you're more aware of it. Once you realize that you're in your old self, you can just flip the switch, move on to your new self. Next, also, don't be too harsh on yourself. Just normalize the forgetting, because you will forget, you will slip back. And that doesn't mean that you just failed, but it just means that you're human and your brain defaults to what's familiar. Your nervous system learns the frequency, the repetition. So, as I've mentioned before, you want to go to the places that your higher self would go. You want to just make it as real as possible, even if you're visualizing inside your head when you're relaxing, when you're meditating. You need to include all of your senses and feel all of the emotions as if you are actually living that dream reality. So if, for example, the version of your higher self would attend masterminds, and there is no mastermind currently in your current reality, so you couldn't really go there, don't forget that you can actually create the mastermind inside your head, and you just need to attend it inside your head. Make it as real as possible. And then finally, let go of resistance to changes. Relax more. Don't be too panicky when weird things happen after you shift your identity. When you think, oh, this doesn't really go as how I expected it to be. You just need to simply not resist it, because again, the universe has its own way of delivering you your dream reality. So it's all part of the unfolding. You just need to trust the process even when it looks wrong, or if nothing is changing, don't panic. You're feeding into your old self by panicking. When you panic, you don't trust yourself enough. It means that you haven't fully believed that you're already living your dream life. So relax, do nothing. That is literally the hardest part, but by doing that, it is proof to your subconscious that the reality you're living right now does not bother you. Now finally, to those of you who are easily panicked by reality not changing fast enough or how you expect it to be, I'll give you these couple of facts to make it easier for you to trust yourself, because I was once in this position where I doubt myself too much and I just don't trust myself enough that I can actually become that person. By understanding these 3 key points, it really helped me calm down and actually trust myself more. So firstly, there is a time buffer for reality to change. The reason why reality doesn't change instantly after you manifest is because, can you actually imagine how chaotic it would be if reality just changed for every split decision that you make? The buffer actually protects you. It actually means that you have time to focus on what it is that you want, create space for reality to bloom as how you want it to be. Secondly, you have to remind yourself, if you're truly being that person, reality doesn't matter anymore, because again, you're already living in that frequency, so you're not waiting for external validation, but you are already her. Number 3 is, the more you resist is the longer it takes. Because resistance means that you're staying in your old frequency. It does take time for reality to manifest itself, but when you're feeding in your old frequency all the time with resistance, that's what's going to manifest. The thing that you focus on most will be the thing that is manifested. So if you've been knowing what to do but not actually doing it, or you've been doing it but keep forgetting and slipping back, now you know why, and now you know what to do about it. It's not about trying harder, it's about understanding deeper. And the more you understand this, the more it sticks. If you've stick to this end part of the video, I really appreciate you spending the time to learn how to master yourself, but also for supporting new creators. I have a lot of thoughts inside my mind, and it's quite the process to actually create a video and deliver those messages to you. So let me know if there's any improvement needed for the upcoming videos, on what I can improve or what you guys want to see most. And I'm also curious, what's your biggest struggle with staying in your new identity? Is it the forgetting? Is it the old self? Is it the 3D reality pulling you back? Let me know in the comments below. In this video, I'm also in the journey of mastering myself and literally figuring out all of this in real time and just documenting the whole journey. So if you want to follow along and want to hear what I have to say, well, I'll see you in my next one.